Hello everyone, it is Anita Stash. My hair is a little different this week. I'm trying to fix it on Facebook Live, but I'm happy to be back with you all for our monthly Lunch and Learn series, and this is the Lunch and Learn series for the month of February. And today we are going to be talking about listening to what your life is telling you. In the past several months, I've shared professional development tips, and on today I'm going to share personal development tips. And I really believe that what you do in your personal life really trickles into every other area of your life. I don't believe we live life in silos, or you have your career, your relationships, your spiritual, your mental, and all that. But everything really should subexist. Success in one area leads to overall success in other areas. So I'm looking forward to sharing some tips with you all. As you all know, I am a licensed coach, and I do professional executive training, and I do training in the area of professional development for early to mid-career professionals. I do leadership training, and I also do personal development training. So today we're going to talk about what is your life telling you. Our life is always speaking to us. And I think one of the biggest things is, are we listening when life is speaking to us? There's a question I love asking myself that I came across maybe about 10 years ago. And when I get to coach people, I ask them the same question. And the question I ask to people that feel stuck, to people that are seeking a change, to people that are looking to achieve a goal, is if your life could speak, what would it say? And you get a lot of answers, and people don't tend to think in those terms, and it always takes them aback. So if your life could speak, what would it say? I imagine a mother of young children like me. I have a 17-month-old. Their life would probably say, I'm tired. When you have multiple little children running around and you're trying to take care of yourself, family, work, and all that, it's tiring. I imagine my 81-year-old dad, who lost my mother several years ago, and recently lost his sense of self due to a loss of community. His life is saying he's lonely at times. I imagine my college friend who has a sister who's undergoing cancer treatment now, and found out 2 weeks ago that the cancer has spread to her liver, that her life may be saying, why me? And why now? Our lives speak to us in different ways. And the question is, are we listening, or are we ignoring that inner voice inside of us? And I believe that God gives us that inner voice, and a lot of times we don't listen to it, and it's to our detriment. I also believe that if you're operating and exercising not only out of your learned skills, because your learned skills are things you learn that help you to achieve or do well on your job, but also being able to tie in your natural abilities, your gifts, and your talents and experiences. If you're not able to tie those two things in life into, whether it's in your career or in your life, you're going to constantly find yourself in this internal battle, trying to find fulfillment in the wrong things, because you're focusing on one aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the other aspect that's saying, hey, you have these skills and this talent, and you have this desire deep inside of you to be in this area, but you're working in this area. So there'll always be that internal struggle. And there are times in life where your life will make a turn, and you have to be able to listen to the path or the turn that your life is taking, so you can know what life is trying to teach you now, what it's trying to tell you, and what it's trying to show you. Because if you listen clearly, then you'll be able to know, is it time to step into a new phase of my life? Is it time to let go of something or a place that I've been in for a while? Or is it time to make an important move? So one of the areas that I tend to teach a lot on is just being aware of the season that you're in your life. So how do you listen to your life? There's 4 areas that I think that if we learn to listen to our lives in, it'll help us to begin to answer the questions, so we make the decisions, not necessarily to live our best lives, but to help you live a life that is more fulfilling. So when I'm teaching you all about how to listen to your life, to what your life is saying, the first thing is to be aware of the season that you're in. The second thing we're going to talk about is learning to question yourself and dig deeper and be curious about yourself. The third one is to listen to what your physical body is telling you, because a lot of us ignore what our physical body is telling us. And the fourth thing is to trust your intuition. So when we're talking about being aware of the season that you're in, I think it's so important to know the season that you're in, because knowing the season that you're in your life will help you determine how to steward your time, your gifts, your talents, and your resources. And there are different types of seasons that everyone goes through. Nothing is new under the sun. But I like to look at seasons like sometimes there's a season of transition and change in our lives. There are seasons of growth. There are seasons of loss. There are seasons of stagnancy. And each season brings a lesson of its own. And if you're not still and you're not wise enough to determine the season that you're in, you'll be in winter trying to fight to get to summer, not realizing that spring still needs to happen in order to produce what's needed in the summertime, right? So spring brings the rain, whether it's say March showers bring April flowers, right? So that's your springtime. So the rain helps to prepare the ground and the seeds in the ground for the flowers and everything that grows in the summer. So you can't skip one season trying to get to another season. You can't fight who you used to be or where you want to be or where you used to be against where you are. It doesn't work. You can't run from the present. So it's important that you understand and know that the season that you're in. And once you know the season that you're in, as hard as it may be, you have to embrace where you are. You have to accept where you are. You have to learn to be fruitful and produce where you are. And you have to learn from where you are. And in due time, the seasons will change. But when you learn to embrace everything that your season is bringing with it, it'll help you to be more at peace. Trust me, because you're not now fighting against seasons. You realize like, okay, this is the season I'm in and I have to let it roll out. So what is your season telling you? The season that you're in, is your life speaking to you? Is the season you're in telling you to slow down? Is the season telling you that you're in telling you to rest? Is the season that you're in, and that's in any area of your life. We're not only talking about career. Is the season that you're in telling you to go with the flow? Sometimes in life, we simply have to go with the flow of what life is bringing to us. Disappointment comes to us all, but you have to be able to shift your perspective. And like I said, every season offers an opportunity to grow. Every season offers an opportunity for you to learn. So if you take the time when you get home, or even as you're listening to me, think about what season are you in your life? How have you been fighting against it? And how would things be different if you just learn to be still and learn from the season that you're in, and learn that it won't last forever, but for right now, this is what it is. And is there something you can learn from it? Is there something you can do with where you're at? The second step on how to listen to your life is to learn to question yourself and dig deeper. While our feelings aren't always a gauge of the reality of life, it is a barometer for something else that's going on in our life. Little children are naturally curious, especially for toddlers. They're always exposed to new things. And I remember going to the store with my daughter for the first time, and we walk into the supermarket, and she just literally stops. I think it was the mall. She literally stops and looks up at the ceiling. She looks all around her at the hustle and bustle in the clothing, because it was a new environment to her, and she was curious. And of course, she naturally wanted to run around and go touch things. But it's the same things for us. Valerie Burton wrote this book several years ago called Listen to Your Life. And she coined the term being curious. As adults, we stop being curious. I guess we figure we're adults and we know everything, but we even stop being curious about our own selves and about our growth, right? And so when you're being curious, when you're questioning yourself, when you're digging deeper, what you're doing is that you're going to be willing to question your behavior. You're going to be willing to question the emotions that are triggered when something happens in your life, right? So if you are questioning your behavior, you're asking yourself, why am I feeling a certain type of way? What triggered this emotion in me, right? What's going on here? Why do I feel threatened by the success of my colleague? What's going on here? Why do I feel jealous at this thing that this person has achieved? Why am I hiding? Why am I not putting myself out there? What am I afraid to do? Those are all questions that dig deeper and allow you to listen to your life, because your behaviors or your emotions all are a trigger to something, and you have to be able to dig deep and ask yourself those questions like, why am I feeling this way about something? And be curious about your own self, because we change, people. As you go through different seasons and you grow as a person, you change, and it's a disservice to yourself to think that the same person you were at 20 is who you will be at 30, at 40, at 50, at 60. Life experiences change things, right? And it may be that you just may be at a stage of your life where you're not where you thought you'd be, or you're not happy about certain things, and you may find yourselves bitter. And get curious about yourself. Why am I bitter? I'm bitter because I should have done this then. I'm bitter because I've been at this job for 10 years and I know I should have moved. I should have moved elsewhere 10 years ago. Things would have probably looked different. So you have to be honest with yourself. If you feel stuck, for example, then ask yourself, what options have I not considered? Self-curiosity will change your beliefs and your bad habits. It gives you the insight to recognize distractions or bad habits that are keeping you from pursuing a more fulfilling life. So when we're talking about how to listen to your life, the first thing I said, which is very important, is you have to be aware of the season that you're in your life. Question yourself, dig deeper, be curious about yourself, and be curious about learning who you are now versus who you were in the past. The third thing is, what is your physical body telling you, right? The state of your health is your life speaking to you loudly and clearly. And a lot of us don't take notice of it, or we just kind of put it to the side. We put doctor's appointments to the side because there's so much else going on in life that we need to take care of. But gaining weight, losing weight, stress, anxiety, getting sick often, lack of focus, constant worry, hair loss. And I was dealing with hair loss about a year and a half ago. I was just dealing with a lot of anxiety due to a situation that I was going through in my life. And I realized it, but I didn't know how to get out. And now I'm out of the situation, and my hair is growing back, thankfully. But I'm finding I'm not worrying a lot as much. I always used to have heart palpitations just because of the situation that I was in, because of a community that I was in at that time. And I had to really leave in order to find my peace again. Restlessness, the pit in your gut. Listen to your body, people. Listen to your body. Your life is, you know what your life is telling you when you're feeling all of those symptoms I shared with you? We cannot sustain at this rate anymore. If you know what is creating the issue, it may be a relationship that you're in. It may be your work situation. I know plenty of friends who are in work situations where they literally dread going to work on Monday, and that's not good. If you're talking about, we only have one life to live. If you're talking about being fulfilled, you have to be able to really tap in to your talents, your abilities, your gifts, and find a way to change the course of your life so that you're not living a life of anxiety. I don't believe at all that is how God designed for life to be for anyone, whether you believe in a God or not. I just don't believe that we're called to live a life of anxiety and you're constantly worrying about things. That's not how life is designed to be, right? So when you listen to your body, you are listening to your life. So figure out, do you need to take a vacation? Do you need to reassess where you're at in life? Do you need to change your job situation? Do you need to change your relationship situation? Whatever it may be, listen to your physical body. Do you need to go see a counselor and speak to someone? Do you need to speak to a friend? Do you need to just, whatever it may be, if it's self-care, whatever it may be, do it. I know with me having a toddler now, and working and managing home and my own business, a lot of times I can get burned out. So some days I'll just leave baby at home with hubby and go get my nails done. Or, I mean, I haven't been able to see a movie by myself for a while, but there are just some times that I just go away and I'm by myself because my physical body is telling me I'm tired and I can't think and I'm not really living productively in any area of my life. So I need to take the time out to just regroup. So listen to your body, right? So you're listening to your life. You're being aware of the season that you're in. You're questioning yourself and digging deeper. Be curious about the emotions that you're feeling and ask yourself why you're feeling that way. Listen to your physical body. And the fourth thing is trust your intuition and your instincts. Again, I think as we get older, when we're younger, we tend to trust our instincts. Kids tend to trust our instincts. If a dog is barking, and even us, in some instances we do, but in other instances we tend to ignore our intuition or our gut when it's speaking to us, right? If something feels off, and I'm just a big believer of it, it's usually off. Instincts are not thoughts, right? They are grounded in your feelings. And as we get older, like I said, we tend to move away from trusting our gut because we're adults and we reason more, and we think things out, and we basically shoo away anything that we can't explain in our feelings, because you can't explain the feeling in the pit of your gut when something doesn't feel right, especially if you're in a meeting or whatever it may be, and everyone's like, yeah, well, the data shows this and that. And in your gut, because you have experience working in something, there's just an uneasiness, but because you can't put words to it, you kind of just shoot away and you just figure, hey, this it's just me, right? But the gut impulses that you usually feel, which are your instinct, are usually the most honest emotions that you'll feel, right? We feel something, we ignore it, we decide something else is true. Then we have all emotions. We make up these emotions in our mind about what we just made up in our heads, right? So right now, your gut and your feelings, and that thing you can't explain, is at war with your logic. And although you're going with your logic, but yet something in the pit of your stomach is still saying, this isn't right. In this book called The Gift of Fear, this violence prevention specialist, her name is Gavin DeBecker, she wrote about a scenario where a woman's waiting for an elevator. And the elevator door opens, and when the door opens, there's a man inside of it. He looks perfectly normal, yet the woman feels afraid. For some reason, there's something in her gut, her emotions, it just feels afraid. But out of courtesy, she ignores her feelings and enters into a soundproof chamber, which is what an elevator is, with someone she feels. And animals even have the instinct that if they're afraid, they don't go, they avoid certain situations. But yet this woman in this situation avoided her instincts. Trust your instincts. And in order to trust your instincts or your intuition, you have to sometimes quiet that internal voice that wants to reason with what you're feeling, right? So our internal voice are the tapes that play in our head, right? The tape that plays in our head tells us to leave our body out of the decision. Our body is our intuition, right? And it tells us to only listen to our busy brain because our brain is logical, right? So what I want you to practice to do, if you want to trust your gut, and I believe that trusting your gut and your intuition is important to being able to listen to what your life is saying, practice telling your voice, the voice in your head, and you're not going to be crazy. I'm not telling you to do anything crazy, but sometimes we really literally need to talk ourselves out of certain things, right? You practice telling your voice in your head to step aside because you want to get your body's guidance too. And your body's guidance is your intuition. Like for instance, in areas of safety, trusting your gut should always reign supreme. If you don't feel comfortable walking down a dark alley, we know how these scary horror movies work, where we're all at the movie theater or we're home watching a movie, and the one girl decides to walk down the alley because she wants a shortcut. There's no lights, and we're like, stupid, don't go down the alley. And then the monster comes out. That's your gut. Don't go down the alley, right? So trust your gut. And although you trust your gut or your intuition in areas of safety, how about when it comes to areas of work-life balance? How do you trust your gut when it comes to deciding to accept a job offer? Your gut is your life speaking to you. How do you trust your gut in areas of health or for peace of mind or in areas of self-care? One of the advice that I'd like to give to you, and I was reading about it in Psychology Today, is that a lot of us really have to not reassess, but I don't know if a lot of people take the time to list out what you value in life. A lot of times we're fighting for things that have no value to us. We're fighting for a job that it pays the bills, but it doesn't align with our values, right? So when you think about what you most value in life, whether it's having a happy family, whether it's being healthy, whether it's making a difference, whether it's having peace of mind, autonomy, having new challenges, being financially stable, your gut will always want you to have what you most value, right? So if you value safety and peace of mind, and you're that woman at the elevator that feels like, yeah, although this person's well-dressed, my gut doesn't feel right, act like you forgot your purse in your office and walk back. Don't get into the elevator. Your gut wants you to have what you most value, right? So ask yourself, what do you need to muster up the courage for in order to follow your gut? And if your values conflict with what your gut is feeling, minimize the risk. Decide to trust your gut. All right. Always just focus on that. And I can get into how do you know to trust your gut You can, like, if you feel anxious, impatient, or confused, definitely always take the time to just breathe. Breathing is an important exercise when you feel confused, when you feel overwhelmed. You just take the time to breathe, and some people take it for granted. Breathing helps to calm your senses. Ask yourself, what is your gut saying, right? Does my gut reaction match what I value, right? Am I too scared to say or do what my gut is saying? Because in my mind, I'm logically saying that this makes sense, but I still can't get rid of this gnawing feeling that's telling me that this isn't right, right? So what is your gut saying? And it doesn't mean you have to act now. Sometimes you do have to act now, but sometimes you may have time. Like sometimes you may have this great job offer presented to you, and everything looks good on paper, but something in your gut is telling you like, wow, if I do take this job, I'm going to be traveling 50% of the time. And I know that being with my family is something I value right now. Trust your gut. Explore the context. Ask yourself, why is my gut rebelling against what seems to make sense? What social rules are hindering me from listening to my gut? Maybe you have a job opportunity that's paying you $50,000 than what you're making now, and common sense or social expectations say go for the money. And for you, there's other things that you enjoy. Maybe the fact that you enjoy your coworkers, you're doing more challenging work there. So those are things that you need to think about, and then tell your gut what you now choose, right? Declare your choice out loud with your gut. If your gut relaxes, then you know you're on the right track. You're learning to trust your intuition. So we learned about being aware of the season that you're in. We learned about questioning yourself and digging deeper in order to listen to your life, to listen to what your physical body is saying, and also to trust your intuition and your instincts. So final thoughts that I want to leave you all with today is that when you finally listen to what your life is telling you in this season, it'll give you the courage to make the decisions you need and to take the actions you need to really start living a more fulfilling life. And it's never too late to do that. I always tell people, as long as you have the breath of life in you, there's an opportunity to redefine the narrative of your life. And again, I believe that you only have one life. God gives you one life. So we don't get a do-over. So redefine where you're at in your life right now. And if it's not working for you, change the script. And we redefine your definition of success. A lot of times we only look at success in terms of our professional lives, but extraordinary success is about experiencing fulfillment in all areas of your life, not only your professional life. You're talking about your spiritual life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your community. Personally, it's all encompassing. And as you're having success in all these different areas and not compromising, that means you're listening to your life. To end, Valerie Burton, in the book that I shared with you earlier, she said that it's possible to be on a path in your life that looks successful to the outside world, and yet you're still not on a fulfilling path. There is one thing that is trying to get your attention, but are you listening? Because it seems like everything's working in this area, but things are not working in other areas, we can fool ourselves into thinking that we have success. But there's something that's trying to get your attention. If you feel this lack of fulfillment, that's your life speaking to you, and it's saying that something's off. You're not fulfilled in one area. You're not working out your gift. You're not working out your talents. You're not doing what you really want to do, right? So like I shared before, there are times your life will take a turn, and all of our lives will take a turn for the good or the bad. But the key thing is that, are you going to be still enough to listen, to write down what you're feeling? Are you going to take the time to listen to what life is teaching you, to what life is telling you, to what life is showing you, so that you know when it's time to step into a new phase, so that you know when it's time to let go or when it's time to make an important move. So I hope that today's Lunch and Learn on just learning what your life is telling you was helpful to you all. Learn to listen to your emotions, learn to listen to your gut, and I wish you all the best. Until March for our next Lunch and Learn, I will see you later. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.